Hey, Rhinos. Okay, so I'm going to record your nutrition meeting right now, and let's get some information to you guys so that we can get some learning on. All right, hold on. Let's go to the right page. I'm going to share my screen with you in just a second here. I had it open, and then I didn't. Almost there. Okay, let's go here. All right, so what I want to do right now is I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see what it is that I want you to be able to see. So you should be able to see right now a screen with my nutrition facts labels on them, okay? So what I want you to look for on here, and I told you guys last week, nutrition labels are getting ready to change. So the one on the left here is the previous label, or the label that you might see right now on the shelves. The one on the right is the new label. That one is due to be required on the market no later than July of 2018. So over the next few months, you're going to see a lot of labels that aren't previously switched over starting to switch over to this new label. So you'll notice some of the things different about this label. One thing I want you to know about this is the same food item. Okay, and that's important because you're going to see some things on this label that might be a little bit surprising to you that maybe we didn't notice before based on what the information was they were giving us on our label. So starting at the top here, you see it's nutrition facts, serving size, 2/3 cup, 55 grams. They have now made the serving size a little bit larger, which is awesome. As you guys saw, if you watched the nutrition meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about how to read the sugar on the labels, you know now that that gram level on your sugar is super important. Okay, that's something that we actually want to look at. So remember, you want to ask yourself, how many grams of sugar per 100 gram serving size? If you have not seen that one, then I highly suggest you go back and watch that video all about how to tell if something is low sugar or high sugar, okay? So that's a really good video. It's very eye-opening for a lot of people about how to read labels and how to understand what the sugar content is in your food product. But notice that the servings per container is actually, or the serving size is larger. And I like that because that actually is a number that's really important. Calories, if you count calories, then your calorie count is larger on the new one as well, which is nice. The fat stayed the same, cholesterol stayed the same, sodium stayed the same. Total carbohydrates. Now, notice on both labels we have 37 grams listed, okay? Notice we have 4 grams listed for dietary fiber. Awesome. Notice the difference on the sugar, where this product was telling us 1 gram per 55 gram serving size, that there was 1 gram of sugar. This one is telling us 12 grams, including 10 grams of added sugar. Note the difference there. This is the same food product. The new label is now required to count a bunch of different things as sugar now, okay? Anything that affects blood sugar, anything that spikes blood sugar and spikes insulin is going to now be counted on your label. There's a list of sugars that are going to be on there, okay? Whereas before, if it wasn't within their list of sugars that had to be counted, then it didn't have to go on the label. Whereas this product truly has 12 grams of sugar. So this is why before I always told people, just because it says 1 gram here and it fits that per serving size label doesn't mean not to read your ingredient list, because before all of those other sugars were listed in the ingredient list. Now your total sugars is listed here, including added sugars. This makes me very, very happy as far as the consumer goes, because now we can look at a product and know what are the added sugars in this product, okay? A couple of great things about this. A couple of things are going to happen in the food industry now if they want to keep selling these products. Now, everybody, when they're eating a bag of Skittles, everybody knows they're eating sugar. But everybody doesn't know they're eating sugar when they're eating bread, or when they're eating, you know, a bag of granola, or, you know, things that people think are healthy are oftentimes there's sugar hidden in them that people don't realize that. Now they're going to be able to see it on the label, and I like that. What that also means is not only is the consumer going to get smarter about how we read labels and how we shop for our foods, but the food industry, I think, if they want to keep selling these products, because people are so aware now of our health, people are so aware of sugar in our foods now, and they're very hyper conscious about not wanting to add extra sugars. Because of that, I think any foods that have this added sugar balance on there, I think they're going to have to find a way to change that. I think they're either going to have to add sugars that don't affect blood sugar or that aren't on their list, or they're going to get sneaky and they'll find different ways to hide it, right? But something is going to have to happen because most people nowadays don't want to buy something that says it has 10 grams of added sugar on it, unless they're buying Skittles or a Twix bar, in which case you know what you're getting, right? But when you're buying a healthy food, you don't want to buy a healthy food with a lot of sugar. So that's something that I do think that the industry could start to adjust on that, because they're going to have to do something. Protein is still the same on the label. You'll notice that your vitamins listed at the bottom actually changed out. Instead of having vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, iron, you now have vitamin D, calcium, iron, potassium, which is awesome. I actually really love the addition of vitamin D and potassium. A lot of people are deficient in vitamin D, and so this is actually a really, really great change. The calcium and iron are both great, and then the potassium is awesome. So all of those are really great changes. I love that. Ultimately, like I said, that's the new label. So start keeping an eye out for this new label. Now, what I always tell people to look for on their labels is this. These are the 3 steps that I take. And if I had a phone out and I was watching this video, I would take a picture of this little section right here. And remember the numbers that we talked about in the last couple of weeks when you're looking at your foods going further, okay? So when you're looking at your foods going further and you're going to the grocery store and you're shopping, I want you to look, number 1, at your sugar, okay? The sugar intake is still the number 1 thing that I would recommend that you look at. So once again, I would go to that and I would ask myself, is this a low sugar food or a high sugar food? So how much sugar per serving? So we're looking at 1 gram of sugar per serving size of 55 grams, okay? Remember a couple weeks ago, we asked ourselves, is it low sugar or high sugar? So we want to see it needs to be less than 5 grams of sugar per 100 gram serving size. So this one would be about 2 grams of sugar per 100 gram serving size. So according to this label, it's low sugar. According to this one, though, 12 grams of sugar per 55 gram serving size. This item is not a low sugar item. So looking at your new label, you now know that this is not a low sugar item. This is a very high sugar item. Then you're going to ask yourself, that's not always a determining factor, though. Some people don't mind that. So the next thing you're going to ask yourself is, what kind is it? Okay. If you go to the label and you see a bunch of sugars listed, dextrose and corn starches and potato starches and things like that listed, and it's not something that you want in your diet, or you see a bunch of these things listed here, malt syrup and corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup and all the different things that you don't want in your diet, then you know the answer is to put that food away, right? Because each of those things are going to affect you in a negative way. If there's sugars that you don't mind having in your diet, like let's say it is a stevia sugar or a monk fruit or a sucralose or something that doesn't negatively affect blood sugar, and you don't mind having that sugar in your diet, then when you ask yourself what kind, the next thing you're going to do is ask yourself, is that acceptable? So once again, the sugar debate is totally up to you, okay? It's up to whether or not it's acceptable for you and your family or not. Ingredient list. The next thing I want you to do is go to the ingredient list. You passed your sugar, go to your ingredient list and ask yourself, is it real food? And then is what's on that list acceptable to me? So once again, we're going back to an ingredient list. We're going to ask ourselves, I'm going to go to this one. This Benecol or whatever it is, I don't even know what that's called. It's a spread. I would never buy that. It says liquid canola oil, not acceptable. That was on last week's unhealthy oil list. Oil, water, plant fennel, I can't even read these, partially hydrogenated soybean oil, emulsifiers. There's just a list of things on there that aren't even real, okay? I would be really careful with that type of a list. Then you're looking at this one over here, which is pasteurized cream and salt, both real food products, okay? So when you're looking at your ingredient list, ask yourself, is it real food, or is it a bunch of chemicals and carbs that I can't pronounce, or unhealthy fats that I don't want in my body? And then ask yourself, again, it still comes back to you and your family's decision and how you're going to eat. So it still comes back to whether or not those are acceptable for you. And then the fat list, again, what type of fats and is it acceptable? Once again, you're going back to this list right here, and you have to decide for yourself if you're willing to have these types of fats in your life or not. If you have problems with inflammation, I would stay away from them. If you don't, then it's up to you. But these ones are known to cause inflammation. These ones are all known to be very good, healthy fats for your life, okay? So I would keep these fats in your life, and I would eliminate those fats in your life as much as possible. All right, so once again, asking yourself what type of fat, and is it or is it not acceptable? So now I'm going to get away from the share, and I'm just going to talk to you guys real quick about the couple of questions that I received this week, and then we'll get this meeting saved and sent out to you guys. So a couple of questions that I got this week. Number one, I have not snacked between meals, but at times I'm hit with a craving or an urge to eat. Can I grab a celery and peanut butter to satisfy this, or just stick with the 3 meals and nothing else? So what I would say to this is this. Number one, if you're hungry, that's your body talking to you one way or another. Number one, it could be just a craving. If it's a craving, you usually will know. If you're craving real food, then you're probably hungry. If you're craving gross foods or sweets or things that you shouldn't have, then it's probably not hunger. It's probably an emotional or mental craving. Okay, so what I want you to do is decide which one of that is. If you're craving Skittles, that's not hunger. But if you're craving meat, or you're craving salmon, or you're craving something healthy, then that's probably a real hunger, and I would prefer that you eat something. So yes, if that's you and you're feeling snacky in between a meal and you're craving something like celery and peanut butter or something like that, as long as that's on your food plan, then I would say to have it. Listen to your body. When you're hungry, eat. When you're not hungry, don't eat. Okay, when you're satisfied, stop. When you're not hungry, don't eat. When you're hungry, eat. So that would be what I would always say to everybody, is listen to your body. We have 2 hunger hormones in our body that tell us, one tells us when we're hungry and one tells us when we're satisfied. And the problem that we've run into is that we have stopped listening to those hormones. Okay, so we no longer know when we're hungry or when we're satisfied, because we eat on schedule, or we eat based on what we think we should be doing. The next question was just curious about the in-body scan results. I'm sure that we'll go over that in our meeting. Yes, we will go over your in-body results. If you're in the Transformation Challenge group, we'll go over your in-body results in week 3 of your meeting. If you're in the Rhino Challenge, we do not actually go over those with you during that time. But if you want, I'm more than happy to go over that information with you. Biggest thing to know is that the in-body results are giving you your body fat breakdown, your water breakdown. As a matter of fact, you know what? Next week, I will do a recording on the in-body, and I'll post it so that you guys can read it, and that way you guys can always watch it, and I can always direct you to that. I'll actually record that tomorrow, and I'll post it on our YouTube page, and I'll send it out to you guys. Okay, so that was the last question I have from this week. Hopefully nobody else has any more questions. If you do, make sure you send them to me, and I will answer them next week in our nutrition meeting, and I hope to see everybody next week. Talk to you guys later. Ask questions if you have them. Send them in Coach Catalyst, text them to me, or send them on the weekly transformation response sheets, okay? Talk to you guys later. Have a good night.